The one thing every narcissist can't stand. You've probably been told that to beat a narcissist, you have to fight fire with fire, stand up to them, call out their lies, and expose them for who they are. But what if that's exactly what they're hoping you'll do? What if the one thing that truly makes a narcissist's world crumble isn't a fight, but a simple, powerful act of doing nothing at all? Today we're talking about the one act of non-reaction that dismantles a narcissist's psyche and gives you back all the power. It sounds almost too easy, doesn't it? But for a narcissist, being ignored is like being starved of oxygen. It's a psychological undoing they are completely unprepared for. And we're not just talking about giving them the silent treatment for a day. This is about a deep shift in your energy, a complete withdrawal of the one thing they desperately need to survive, your emotional reaction. This isn't about playing games or sinking to their level. It's about understanding the engine that makes a narcissist tick so you can finally get out of their way. You're about to learn how to become a black hole for their insults and a smooth, unbreakable wall against their manipulation. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what this one thing is, why it works, what to expect when you do it, and how you can use it to reclaim your peace and your power starting today. The narcissist's game, why they need your reaction. Before we get into why non-reaction is so devastating, we have to talk about the fuel that keeps a narcissist going. It's a concept called narcissistic supply. Think of narcissistic supply as their psychological lifeblood. It's any form of attention, admiration, or even emotional drama from others that they use to prop up their incredibly fragile self-esteem. Without it, their inflated ego starts to deflate, and all the deep-seated insecurities they're running from begin to bubble to the surface. Now, what's wild is that supply can be positive or negative. To them, it makes almost no difference. Positive supply is the obvious stuff: praise, compliments, and public admiration. They soak this up. It confirms their belief that they're special, superior, and entitled to the best of everything. They'll charm, manipulate, and perform endlessly to get this kind of attention. But here's the part many people miss: negative supply is just as good. Your anger, your frustration, your tears, your fear, these are all 5-star meals for a narcissist. When they provoke you into a fight or say something cruel just to watch you crumble, your emotional response sends them a clear message: I have power over you. I matter enough to affect you. Your reaction, even a heartbroken one, validates their sense of importance and control. This is why arguing with a narcissist is like wrestling a pig in the mud. Sooner or later, you realize the pig is enjoying it. They don't argue to find a solution. They argue to get a reaction. They are emotional vampires, and your feelings, good or bad, are the energy they feed on. They have to be the center of your emotional world. If they can't be your hero, they will gladly be your villain. The only role they can't stand is being irrelevant. Their entire life is a constant hunt for supply. They are master manipulators who study you, learning your insecurities and triggers not to get closer to you, but to know exactly which buttons to push when they need a fix. They will create chaos just to watch the show, because in the middle of that storm, they feel powerful. They feel seen. The game isn't about winning the argument. The game is about getting you to play. Your engagement is their victory. Once you realize you've been an unwilling player in a game you can't win, you can finally learn how to fold your hand and walk away. The myth of fighting back. So, let's talk about the advice we've all heard and probably tried. You have to stand up to them. Expose their lies. Show them they can't treat you this way. It comes from a good place, a desire for justice. But when you're dealing with a narcissist, this logic isn't just flawed, it's a trap. Fighting back against a narcissist is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. It's what they want. When you defend yourself, you're giving them attention. When you argue, you're giving them a platform. When you get angry, you're giving them grade A narcissistic supply. Every word you spend explaining yourself, every piece of evidence you show them, every frustrated tear, it all just feeds the beast. It proves they still have a hold on you. Think about it. A narcissist's greatest fear isn't being hated. It's being ignored. Hatred is an intense emotion. It means you're still thinking about them, still consumed by them. Your fight is their entertainment. It lets them play the victim, twisting your reactions to prove how unhinged you are. This is a classic move called reactive abuse, where they poke and provoke you until you finally snap, and then they point to your reaction as proof that you were the problem all along. They sit back with a smug satisfaction while you spin out, trying to make them see reason. But they don't want to see reason. They want to see you unravel. They are puppet masters, and as long as you're reacting, your strings are still in their hands. You can't win an argument with someone who doesn't share your reality. Narcissists live in a fantasy world where they're always the hero or the victim, and any fact that contradicts that story gets denied, twisted, or dismissed. When you show them cold, hard proof of their behavior, they'll just gaslight you until you question your own memory. They'll project, accusing you of the very things they are doing. They'll deflect, changing the subject so fast you get whiplash. The only winning move is not to play. The true victory, the one they never see coming, isn't in outsmarting them. It's in refusing to even enter the ring. It's in realizing that your greatest power isn't in your voice, but in your silence. Not a weak, defeated silence, but a powerful, deliberate silence that quietly says, "You no longer exist in my emotional world." If this is starting to click, and you're ready to drop the rope in this pointless tug of war, take a second to subscribe and turn on notifications. The insights we share here are designed to give you the clarity you need to break these cycles for good. And if you've ever been caught in this trap, share your story in the comments. Your experience could be the validation someone else needs to see today. The power of indifference, the one thing they can't stand. So, what is the one thing every narcissist can't stand? It isn't being told no. It isn't being held accountable. The one thing that causes a narcissist's entire psychological framework to wobble is genuine, soul-deep indifference. Indifference is a void. It's the complete absence of an emotional reaction. It's not hatred, which is hot and engaging. It's not fear, which is validating. It's a cool, calm nothingness. When you are truly indifferent to a narcissist, you are sending them the most terrifying message possible. You do not matter. Remember, their entire sense of self is built on the foundation of other people's reactions. They need your admiration or your anger to feel real. When you give them nothing, you hold up a mirror to their deepest fear, that they are, in fact, insignificant. This is why indifference is so much more powerful than an angry outburst. Anger says, "You hurt me. You have power." Indifference says, "You are so irrelevant that you are incapable of hurting me. Your words are just noise. Your actions are meaningless." To an ego that is a bottomless pit of need, this is a form of psychological annihilation. They're like a comedian on stage, telling jokes to an empty room. The spotlight has gone out, and they are left alone in the dark with their own emptiness. But here's the key. A narcissist can smell the difference between fake indifference and the real deal. If you're ignoring them but secretly seething with anger, they'll know. They'll pick up on the microcues and the tension. That's still a form of supply. True indifference is an inside job. It's a state of emotional detachment you achieve by pouring all that energy back into your own life, your own well-being, and your own happiness. When you genuinely stop caring what they think or do, you sever the energetic cord between you. Their provocations become like arrows shot at a ghost. They pass right through you. They can't land a punch because you're no longer in the ring. You're not even in the arena. By refusing to be a character in their drama, you force them to face the one person they can't stand, their own empty self. The psychological collapse? What happens when you don't react? So what actually happens when you cut off the supply and hit them with the silent, impenetrable wall of your indifference? You can trigger what's known as a narcissistic injury, which leads to a predictable multi-stage implosion as their defense mechanisms fail. While every individual is different, the pattern is often the same. Stage 1, confusion and escalation. At first, they're just confused. Their go-to moves aren't working. The insults they hurl get no response. It's like they're pushing buttons on a machine that's been unplugged. Their first thought is that they just aren't trying hard enough, so they escalate. The manipulative tactics intensify. They might get nastier trying to force a reaction out of you. Or they'll switch gears and start hoovering or love bombing. Suddenly, they're sweet, apologetic, and promising you the world. This isn't a change of heart. It's a desperate attempt to plug the machine back in. Stage 2, Narcissistic rage. When escalation and love bombing both fail, their confusion curdles into rage. This is the infamous narcissistic rage, and it stems from a deep wound to their ego. You've exposed their powerlessness, and they can't handle it. This rage can be explosive, shouting, threats, and volcanic outbursts. Or it can be cold and passive-aggressive, smear campaigns, playing the victim to your friends, and trying to sabotage your life from the shadows. They are trying to punish you for daring to make them feel so small. This stage is proof that your indifference is working. Stage 3, devaluation and retreat. If you hold firm and continue to give them nothing, no anger, no fear, no engagement, they are eventually forced into the final stage. Since you are no longer a source of supply, you become worthless to them. They will devalue you and retreat. They'll convince themselves and anyone else who will listen that they never cared about you anyway, and that you are the defective one. It's a face-saving move, their ego's last-ditch effort to reframe their defeat as a choice, and then they will move on. A narcissist cannot survive in a vacuum. They will frantically seek out a new source of supply, a new person who will react, engage, and play the game. They leave you alone not because they respect your boundaries, but because you have become a desert. You have nothing left for them, and in the silence they leave behind, you will finally find your peace. Practical application. How to master non-reaction. Knowing all this is one thing, but actually doing it is another. Mastering non-reaction is a skill, and it takes practice. Here are a few practical ways to do it. First up is the gray rock method. Imagine becoming as boring and unresponsive as a gray rock. When the narcissist tries to provoke you, you become bland, neutral, and unengaged. Give short, factual answers. Don't offer personal information. Don't show emotion. For example, they send a nasty text meant to start a fight. Instead of defending yourself, you either don't respond, or you reply with a boring, one-word answer like okay or noted. The goal is to make interacting with you so unrewarding that they just give up. You can't get blood from a stone, and you can't get supply from a gray rock. Second, shift your mindset from participant to observer. When you have to interact with them, mentally take a step back and become a scientist observing a predictable specimen. There's the gaslighting. Now for some projection. And here comes the victim card. When you frame it this way, their behavior becomes less personal and more like a pattern. This emotional distance is your armor. You're no longer a character in their bad play. You're just an audience member who is free to leave at any time. Third, embrace the power of a calm demeanor. A simple, neutral expression, or even a slight, detached smile, in the face of their chaos is incredibly disarming. It shows them you're not threatened or bothered. When they expect you to crumble and you instead remain calm, it short-circuits their entire strategy. Your calmness is a quiet declaration of your own inner strength and control. Finally, understand that non-reaction is the ultimate boundary. Your emotional energy is your most valuable resource, and you are declaring that the narcissist is no longer welcome to it. By refusing to react, you are enforcing the most powerful boundary of all, the one around your own mind and heart. You are saying, my peace is my responsibility, and I am no longer outsourcing it to you. The ultimate victory over a narcissist isn't making them miserable. It's becoming indifferent to whether they're miserable or not. The real prize isn't their downfall, it's your freedom. For so long, your emotional state has been tied to their behavior. By practicing non-reaction, you finally cut that cord. You take back the power you gave away and reinvest it where it belongs, in your own healing, your happiness, and your future. The goal isn't to destroy them, it's to build a life so full and peaceful that they become a distant, irrelevant memory. Their power only exists in your reaction. When you give them nothing, they have nothing. You win, not by fighting, but by walking off the field in glorious, unbothered peace. Thank you for watching. If this message resonated with you, please like this video and share it with someone who might need to hear it. For more content on reclaiming your power, be sure to watch our next video on the subtle signs of narcissistic manipulation. Take back your energy. Take back your life.